Happy Thursday, everybody. Today is February 1st, 2024. For some reason, I keep continuing to try and say 2023, but no, we are in 2024. I cannot believe that January has already passed us by so quickly. But thank you so much for joining tonight. I appreciate you tuning in. As always, I want to make sure to answer all of your questions and make sure that we're going over anything that I think is important for you to know that's going on in the real estate world and just the local here to Georgia. There are some things that I'm going to go over with you tonight. So make sure that you stay tuned because there's some things at the end that I would really like your opinion as the open public as to what you think of this. Obviously, being in real estate, I feel like I have a little bit of a skewed idea of this. So I would like to hear from you, those of you that are not in the real estate world, just to get a more open perspective and hear what other people really and truly are thinking. But first, I want to dive in, as always, to our very local news. So Suwanee is obviously the place where I currently live and have lived for some time. Over the years that I have been here, they've been doing some renovations and they built out Town Center. They're currently working on Town Center West, and they've done some different things around like moving the fire station just down the street. They've done some of the work over there. I was actually part of the playground build last October, which was one of the most fun experiences. I have to say, I got to know so many people, and it was just a really fun way to give back to the community. My kids played there when they were little, but currently, you need to be aware of some of the changes that are going on. So first, I want to just kind of recap what you're really looking at when you're driving through downtown Suwanee. And so if you look here, right here, you've got Town Center on Main and Delay Nature Park. So this is where current Town Center is. You've got Suwanee Dam Road that runs this way. Peachtree Industrial would be up here. And then you've got Buford Highway that runs along this way here. So if you look at this is what they're in the process of building. And so here is a little bit better picture of what they're going to be building. So current Suwanee Town Center is right over here. This is Buford Highway along this corridor here. Then you've got the police station and Stillfire Brewery. Right here is that tunnel that goes underneath the railroad line there, and you come out over here. This is the existing library, and there is a Korean church here. And then you had the old Playtown Suwanee right here. This is where the new Playtown Suwanee is. And so basically, this is all going to be when you walk out from under the underground tunnel, you're going to walk straight into this wraparound bridge here. And this is going to be elevated so that you're over the water feature. It's going to be like a small pond. There's going to be some volleyball courts here. There's going to be a lot of parking here. And this is where you'll get to the library. And then down here is going to be the road that's going to actually bring you around. And this is going to be right down close to the fire station off of Suwanee Dam Road. So up here, you've got kind of like another pavilion area. There's going to be like another splash pad water feature area. So there's a lot of fun things that are going to be going on with this. A lot of people have been questioning, they can't see the vision when they're really looking at it right now. And I understand that because it's still so far in the works that, you know, they're just in the beginning phases of getting all of that done. Playtown Suwanee, the playground, has been almost completed. It is a fantastic playground, and I love some of the features that they put in because they made sure to make it wheelchair accessible. There's also just so many different aspects of it that make it very usable for everyone. So one of the key things is they did what's called a pour in place. So that has to cure. And obviously with the cold weather and the rain, they've had a little bit of a delay. So that's really what they're waiting on. And then Playtown Suwanee will hopefully open before the rest of the main area. So you will be able to get into that park area before any of this goes on. But with change comes a couple of issues. And so I want you guys to be aware, they have actually just cut off the main road on Main Street there. So if you remember, here's Pierce's Corner, which is downtown Suwanee, like the old downtown Suwanee. And then you would have to come. So let me show you on Google Earth because I think it's so confusing. Wow, what did we do here, guys? Let's zoom out a little bit, huh? So if we go back, of course, Google Earth is going to make me start all over. We're going to go over here to the Suwanee Library. There we go. So right here is downtown Suwanee, current downtown Suwanee. And then this is Buford Highway. When you come down, this is that new roundabout that they just put in, the last couple of years. And so people have complained about it. Look, it is what it is. They're trying to deter traffic from speeding down Buford Highway because this is now going to be, not only do you have Suwanee Playtown here, Suwanee Town Center here, and you've got Stillfire here, which people walk across Buford Highway here a lot. Now you're going to have even more people because all of these trees that you saw here are no longer here. This is where Suwanee Town Center West is going to be. The library is here. Playtown is going to be right. I think you can see the old one right there. So there's going to be more traffic, pedestrian traffic walking across here. So what they've done now is you could drive down Main Street here and you could actually take a left or a right onto Suwanee Dam. Or if you were coming down Suwanee Dam, you could take a left here on to Main Street, which would take you back, kind of the back way to get over to Peachtree Industrial or to the Publix that's back here. And there have been so many accidents right here at this intersection that they have closed that off. They basically have Main Street crossed off right here. Unless you live in these homes that are right here, you can no longer go down Main Street here. You have to detour this way. And if you were thinking that you were going to take a left or a right here onto Main Street, it's not going to happen. They have it blocked off, and that will not be reopening. Their goal here, like I said, is to drive traffic away from those areas. And so they will not be reopening that. That is going to be basically where Town Center extends into. And so you're going to have to find a different way. So I want to tell you guys that ahead of time so that you're not sitting there thinking, what in the world just happened? I totally don't know where to go from here. So keep that in mind. Another thing, looking at local, I want to show you guys is about property taxes. So Georgia legislative leaders have been talking about this for quite some time, and they're pushing to have kind of a limit on how far property taxes can increase. Because obviously the last couple of years with home prices going up, what happens then? Our freaking taxes go up because now our homes are valued out more. And when you're paying taxes, it's based off of the value of the property. And so they're trying to say, hey, people had no idea buying homes in 2018, 2019, that their home values were going to skyrocket at this. And it's making it unaffordable for a lot of those people because home prices rose so quickly over the last couple of years. So this article was very interesting. It says the move comes less than a week after House Speaker John Burns announced legislation to double the standard state homestead exemption on property from $2,000 to $4,000 a year. He's saying that could cut property taxes by $100 million a year. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I could stand to have a tax break. So currently in the state of Georgia, you have what's called a homestead exemption. So if you own a home, you are able to file for homestead exemption, and it will give you a break on your property tax or on your taxes when you file them. So it's basically when you're paying your property tax, they're giving you a little bit back in your taxes when you go to file them. So the fact that they're thinking about giving a little bit of a break would be fantastic. We've probably heard more about property taxes than we've heard about any other issue in the past year. Obviously, because so many people, again, we had some people that their payment per month went up by a couple $100 last year. If you're one of those people, type it in the comments. How much did your property tax increase last year because of how much home values went up in 2020 and 2021. So if you're like on a set budget, which most of us are, most of us bought our home with the expectation of this is what my home payment is going to be each month. And then all of a sudden it goes up $300-400. That's a drastic difference. And there are a lot of people that are saying, hey, I can't afford, especially if this is going to continue. So seeing that they are recognizing this and trying to do something about it, both efforts are aimed at helping homeowners who, in some areas, have complained about being taxed off their property as assessments have skyrocketed with the booming housing market. Like we just said, at least 39 Georgia counties, 35 cities, and 27 school systems have adopted local measures limiting how much assessed values can rise. Some of them only benefit homeowners 65 or older. Well, the key there is in Georgia, when you turn 65, you no longer have to pay the school tax. And realistically, looking at the tax numbers, school tax is almost about 50% of your property tax. So let's just use $4,000. If your annual property tax is $4,000, almost 2,000 or maybe just over 2,000 is going to be school tax. So that's why so many times if I'm looking at a property and I have a young family that's in their 30s, 40s, 20s, whatever, you're under 65 basically, and we're looking at the property and the property tax says $800. I don't think so. I know right off the bat, the owner of that property is at least 65 or older, and they have the senior homestead exemption. So I need to let the people that are purchasing it know, hey, this is not what you should expect from your property taxes. As soon as you buy that property and your name is on that deed, the property taxes are going to go up. And so that's something that you need to be aware about when you're looking at homes, and your realtor, wherever you are, should be looking at the taxes, because if it looks like a very odd low number, chances are that a senior owns that property. And when you buy it, your property taxes are going to go up significantly. And so the lender should be looking at that as well. I know my lender always looks at it and says, hey, this is probably a senior. We're going to just estimate that they're going to be double this. So that way he's giving you a realistic expectation of what your monthly payment is going to look like when you own the property compared to what the senior is paying right now. So let's be hopeful that they can make some changes here. A 3% cap on assessment increases could mean local governments and schools would have to raise taxes, but some lawmakers say at least that would make the process more transparent to homeowners, many of whom don't understand why their home is valued as it is. We need to be careful some of these people can't stay in their houses because of the taxes. So that's the part that I'm a little bit worried about. Where is the money that they're going to pause? Where is that going to come from? Where are they going to get it? Because you and I both know the government isn't just going to pause receiving money. So I'll be interested to watch this. I will definitely keep you guys abreast of what's going on with this, because they've been talking about it for a little while. They did do some rebates last year just because a lot of people, their taxes went up so much. So I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. Changing gears, I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about a conversation that I've had a couple of times this week, specifically one conversation that I had with a family the other day. They moved down here, I guess it was last year in the fall, and they had been looking at homes. They lived in New York, and so they had flown down a couple of times, ended up buying this home, moved the family down. They absolutely love it. However, the issue is once they've lived in the house for a little while, they really feel like they needed a basement. They wanted to purchase a basement. And so they feel like they might have bought the wrong house. And another conversation that I have is another couple that have been kicking around the idea of buying for a while, but they've had cold feet. I'm saying a couple of years now. And they came to me this week and they said, I feel like I really missed the boat on purchasing. And they're talking about like 2019, had they known what was going to come, they would have just gone ahead and purchased. But they were still trying to get things together and make sure that they were financially set. And then 2020 happened. And they were like, we're not ready to buy. Then 2021, it was so aggressive. And they're like, we're not getting into this. Well, fast forward all of, these couple of years, home prices have just continued to increase. And they kind of rode out the storm of, oh, well, we're going to have a recession. Home prices are going to come crashing down and we're going to buy then. Unfortunately for them, that did not happen. Well, it's a benefit for those of us that are in the market. We don't want our home prices to crash. However, it has made homes unaffordable for quite a few people. And if you were one of those people that were waiting to purchase, you probably got hurt by the fact of it didn't happen. The media sold us early last year on we were going to see a recession. Home prices are going to come down. Interest rates are going to have to come down because of everything that's going on. And none of that happened. So now a lot of people are feeling like they missed the boat. The family that I just met with the other day that feels like they should have bought a basement said, I feel like, again, we've missed the boat because we could have bought, last year, and home prices just continue to keep rising. So here's what I want to say to you about that from a realtor's standpoint. Two things. With that specific family, I told him, look, I don't think it's smart for you to sell right now. I know that you feel like you bought the wrong house and that you should have gotten a basement now that you've been living in it for a little while, but I think it's a bad choice for you to sell right now. If you want to sell and you're telling me, please list my home, obviously I work for you and I will do as I'm told. If you're asking my professional opinion, I think it's a bad time. I think it's a really bad time because you bought at a higher percentage. You bought at about, I think they were just over 7.5%. They were almost at 8% when they purchased. We are just under 7% right now. So if you wait just a little bit longer, and this is where we talk to a lender and we look at the numbers to see if you sell this house right now, you're not going to make a substantial amount. This isn't 2021 where every quarter we're making 10, 15%. You have made money, but it's at 5% compared to last year, until now. And this year we're just looking at a 2% raise, and I'm talking about an equity. So what that looks like for you is if you're buying a home for the long run, that's great. You're still going to be making money. But if you buy a home right now and then turn around and sell it at the end of the year, you have not made a substantial amount of money and you're not going to be making money by selling that home. So for them, the smart thing to do is to hold on to the property for just a little bit longer into this year. By that time, hopefully we will see some rate cuts. And then it will kind of balance out because obviously to buy a basement, they're going to need to spend a little bit more money. And so if let's say they bought this house at $550 and they need to go to $600 to get a basement or $625, if we get that rate closer to 6.5 or maybe even 6.25, then the monthly payments will actually balance each other because they were over 7.5 and now we're under 6.5. So we've been playing with those numbers to see where does it make sense for their monthly payment to balance out. So if it's something where you need to make a move, let's just talk and make the numbers work. The other thing, if you feel like you missed the boat, because if you're somebody that's lived in Georgia like myself and you watched the market in 2017, 18, 19, you felt like we were in a good solid market and homes were expensive but affordable. Then 2020, 2021 came and home prices just seemed to skyrocket and never stop. And so if you were looking at purchasing in 2019 and kind of put a pause on it, and now we're looking at purchasing, you could very well have sticker shock and feel like you missed the best opportunity. But I would encourage you to look at things over the long run. The only time that you should be buying something is when you are financially ready and secure to buy the home. If you would have purchased in 2019 and then you would have had financial struggles, it just wasn't the right time for you to purchase anyways. Yes, you would have made equity and you would have made money. However, if you would have been struggling through all of that time, it wasn't the right time. Real estate over the years, over decades, has made money continuously. Even in 2008, when we did have a major recession, if you were smart to begin with and you didn't overstretch yourself, you didn't overextend yourself in 2006, 2007, and you could actually afford your payment in 2008, then you rode out the storm from 2008 to 2012. And think of the money that you've made by now by holding on to that property. So I encourage you, don't get pressured into buying. Only buy when you're ready and when you financially feel comfortable and ready to move forward on something, because real estate over time will always make money. It is just a proven fact, like I said, throughout history. So with that, I want to kind of look at some of the things that we've seen this week with taxes. But first, let's take a look at some of our questions. Oh, my favorite viewer's on. So like, did January just say I'm out? It totally did. Totally just pieced me out and then went on to somewhere else, because now February just came in with a vengeance. But I will say it was sunny and pretty today here, which made me so happy because it's been raining and incredibly cold here in Georgia. I'm not a cold weather person at all. If it's like 60, I've got on a jacket. And the fact that it's been in the 20s here has totally killed me. My bones ache. Yes. Where I live in Virginia, the county that I reside in declined having a cruise ship port or something like that because people don't want to deal with tourists. Hey, I get it. I do. But I would have to look at, does that bring money to the area? Like would that have brought more value to the community? I don't know. But I love that shortcut. Not anymore. Sorry. Suwanee has nicked that in the bud. They want to make sure that there's no traffic around the pedestrians and keeping people, children, everybody that runs through there safe. So sorry. Tell the government people in Georgia to eliminate the income tax like Florida, Tennessee. This is America. I wish I could, because I have a feeling if we did that, though, we would have even more people coming here. And I don't know. We'll have to see about that. I do hope, though, that this continues to see something, but I'm scared that they're going to ask for taxes in another way. So we'll have to see what that comes up with. I'm looking to move from the Bay Area, California to Georgia this summer. This tax information is great insight. Terrence, there's quite a bit. There's some stuff that happened last year, like in Forsyth County, they gave a little bit of a tax reduction that came in the form of like a payment back to you because taxes had increased. So if you want more information on that, shoot me an email and I can send you the articles on both of them, because there is a lot to look at, especially if you're looking at making a move from California, because taxes are extremely different from there. So thanks for tuning in. If I can help, just let me know. I live in Madison, Massachusetts, ranked number 7 in the best cities list. I just saw that. There were actually multiple cities for Connecticut, Massachusetts. There was a few for those northern states. I'm considering relocating to the Atlanta area. Is there anywhere similar? I've heard good things about Johns Creek. So I live in Suwanee, which is just down the street from Johns Creek. Literally, we're next door neighbors. Johns Creek is fantastic. It really depends on what lifestyle you're looking for. If you are a family moving in, if you're single, young, there are different areas I would recommend depending on your lifestyle. I would love to talk with you about it further. Feel free to call me or send me an email. But I would say overall, Johns Creek is fantastic. Duluth is another good one. Suwanee, Alpharetta, Buford, those are all going to be great. Another one that I love is Woodstock. Cumming has definitely certain areas. If you're looking for more of urban suburban, which somebody asked me the other day, what does that mean? Urban suburban is a term that I've kind of created just for the fact of there are certain areas here. Georgia was never created to be a walkable area. The city of Atlanta is walkable, but as you get out to the suburbs, everything you have to have a car, everything is very spread out. And over time, especially the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, all of the cities, Cumming, Suwanee, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Duluth, all of them have realized we need to make this more walkable. We need to make, pedestrians able to go from point A to point B. easier. So they've all built what I'm calling like micro cities. So it gives you this urban vibe, but you're still in the suburbs. Like, don't get it twisted. You're not in the city. So it's like urban, suburban. But any of those areas, any of those towns, I would really encourage you to take a look at. I always suggest to people, if you're thinking about making a move here, come visit. Come take a weekend, come take a week. Let me know when you're coming. We can grab coffee, talk. I can point you in the direction. I'm going to kind of interview you about what you want life to look like here. What are your most important things? And then I'm going to send you on a direction, and I can either show you personally or just send you out with some guidance, and hopefully you can get some direction and get your bearings, because I feel like once you get here, it's like anywhere. Once you get there and you're really driving around, you'll see the differences in the towns, and hopefully you leave feeling confident with like, okay, these are the areas that I really was drawn to. And then you can kind of start your home search within those specific areas. So I hope that helped. Like I said, if you want to dive in deeper, feel free to call me or email me. We can talk about it a little bit more. Let's see. I've said it. Miss Florida is calling you. Don't fight it. I just need to make enough money so that I can maybe go back and forth, because I really do love Georgia. I love our fall weather more than anything. If I could just have fall all the time. See, that's the thing. Florida is too hot. I don't want to be hot either. I want like this middle ground where I need like a light jacket, breezes blowing. I don't know where I'd find that. If you live in a town where it's just fall all the time, let your girl know, because I need to be there. But diving back in, I want to share with you some of the information that we heard this week about rates. So this article is probably going to be a little bit controversial on here, but hey, we're going to dive into it because that's what we do on here. So Senator Warren, she wrote a letter to Chairman Powell urging him to cut rates. She said that it is necessary in order to make home pricing more affordable. So in a letter dated January 28th, Senator Warren expressed concerns about the housing market to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. In October, the Mortgage Bankers Association, they wrote a letter to Powell urging the Fed to take steps to provide market certainty about rate hikes. Well, here's the thing. Market certainty doesn't necessarily mean a rate cut. Market certainty just means stop moving the rates all over the dang place and keep them steady for a little while so that people know what to expect, right? Last year, they were up and down multiple times a day sometimes. And so people could never figure out, should I lock in today? Should I wait a week? What's going to happen in a week? Maybe they're going to go up to 9%. I don't know. So rate certainty that they're talking about, in my interpretation, doesn't necessarily mean a reduction. So be careful what you ask for there. So then if you look here, Warren's letter highlights the housing affordability crisis in the United States, stating it is a direct result of the Fed's rate hikes, resulting in mortgage rates reaching higher than 20 years. The Fed's decision to raise interest rates rapidly and keep them high has resulted in higher costs for home purchasers, higher rents, and reductions in new home and apartment building, and the job growth that comes with these investments. So here's my issue with this. And this is where I really want to hear your opinion on this, because like I said, being in the real estate world, I probably am going to be a little bit biased one way or another. And I hear her. I agree that rates need to stabilize, and I would like for rates to come down. However, I don't feel that they need to come down substantially. And I do feel that they had to make this happen, because without it happening, we were just going to continue on an upward direction with housing affordability in terms of housing prices. If they didn't put a pause on the rates and raise them, they were kind of brought down in 2020 to encourage people to get back out and to encourage people to fuel the market back up. The last time we saw rates really low was in 2008, 2009. Why was that? Because we had the recession and they wanted to stir the pot back up. They wanted to get people out there spending again. Well, when 2020 happened and we were all locked up for a little while, we came out of the gate buzzing, waiting to spend money. A lot of people were choosing to move around. A lot of people had been cooped up and they were taking vacations. There was an exorbitant amount of spending. And so the Fed has said they're not trying to hurt the American people, but they have to rein in spending one way or another. So I'm kind of that person that I see her point and I hear her, but I don't 100% agree with her. So I would love to hear your perspective in the comments. Do you think that rates should come down back to 4% right now? I personally am nervous for that to happen because I feel like you're going to have another fury of people coming out and you're going to see people spending when they really shouldn't. And I know that it is each and every one of ours responsibility to figure that out for ourselves, but let's be realistic, a lot of people don't. And I don't want the American people as a whole going into more and more debt. And I feel like rates right now, I would love for them to just get a little bit lower, but I feel like, 5 to 6% is where we need to be right now for things to be comfortable and for things to kind of level out for buyers and for sellers. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you my interpretation. By no means am I saying that this is what should, or what they're going to do. This is what my personal opinion is. So let me know your thoughts. Want to hear a hot take? How about you run for president? I would love to. I don't know that I would get voted for, though. So the other thing, today, federal chairman came out. Love when he speaks. He says, we're not targeting housing price inflation. So this I thought was incredibly interesting because I'll be honest, sometimes when he talks, I'm just kind of like, Lord, what are you doing? I don't feel like you're really answering the questions. And I feel like, of course, he's got his back against a wall because everyone wants him to say something specific. And he can't. His job is not to please the American people. His job is to keep this country running and help keep things balanced, which is incredibly hard to do. So during the conference, Jerome Powell directly addressed questions regarding housing price inflation and Senator Warren's letter. In his response, Powell stated the Federal Reserve's job is price stability and maximum employment, not housing inflation. So housing inflation is just something that unfortunately is getting dragged into this because he's trying to bring down the spending. When we came out of the gate in 2020, buying clothes, taking trips, doing all sorts of things, buying houses because we lived in a condo in the city and now forget it. We can work from home. We want a big yard for our dog and we're going to move to the suburbs. And now all of a sudden I got to go back to work and I can't afford it. So he's trying to rein in spending as a whole. So Powell also discussed the issue of limited housing supply. So it's also interesting how it's tied in. In response to a direct question about housing inflation, Powell clarified the Fed's primary objective, repeatedly stating that their focus remains on price stability and maximum employment, not housing inflation. He also stated that the housing industry was helped more than any other industry at the start of the pandemic due to the lowering of interest rates. What did we just say? We just talked about that. They were brought down significantly to stir up the spending, get people back out there, get us past, looking past COVID and looking into the future. And so once those rates started to come back up, people started to panic. But you guys, they weren't meant to be down there for a long time. They were just meant to stir the pot. Maybe they left them down there too long and people got used to it. So there hasn't been enough housing built, he expressed, but there's not a solution. The final point in his response was Powell stated by looking at owner's equivalent rent and actual rent paid by tenants, the calculations show that market rents are flattening and that will show up in inflation over time. And the key thing here is, I can't speak for nationwide, but I can say for Atlanta specific, we actually have seen rent get more affordable in the last couple of months. So that is a benefit. That is a huge win here because rent prices had gotten astronomically expensive. And the key thing here is it's not always the right time to buy a house. Sometimes renting makes sense. I know that's odd to hear the realtor say, but it's just the fact. if you're only going to be here for a certain amount of time with a job, or you're still getting it together for your down payment and getting on your feet, maybe you just got a job and you're building up your credit, trying to buy something right now just doesn't make sense. Or maybe you're like, these people that are coming from Massachusetts and coming down. Maybe you rent for 6 months, see if you really like it. You have to do what's best for you. Most of my clients that move from other states go ahead and purchase. But the reason that they did is because they've been watching my videos about the suburbs. They've been doing their homework and research. They've come down for multiple trips to check out the different areas, and they feel really confident about where they're moving to by the time they actually make this move. It's usually not just, oh, I'm going to fly down tomorrow and buy a house. This has been months, sometimes even years in the making. And that's okay, because if you're making a giant move like that, you need to know that you're going to be happy with where you're going. So make sure that you do your homework. But the rent coming down is something that, really needed to happen. And so when we think about, our statutory goals, our maximum employment and price stability, that's what we're targeting. We're not targeting house price inflation, the cost of housing, or any of those things. Those are very important things for people's lives, but they're not the things that they're targeting. We're also well aware that when we cut rates at the beginning of the pandemic, for example, the housing industry was helped more than any other industry. And when we raise rates, the housing industry can be hurt because it's a very interest sensitive sector. But the reality is, you guys, it has to be. I know that a lot of you feel differently, especially if you're a buyer that's trying to get in right now. But what you don't want to happen is for falsely and deflated rates to come back. And then you're looking at $100,000 over asking price again. You're looking at multiple offers again. You're looking at waiving contingencies again. That was not fun for anyone. I don't care what any of the people tell you. Nobody enjoyed that time of, fighting for a home and having to not being able to really even think about your home purchase. You just had to, if you want it, you write a contract on it now. And that's not the way to buy a home. So looking at this, some of the things that I thought were interesting: activity in the housing sector was subdued over the past year, largely reflecting high mortgage rates. High interest rates also appear to have been weighing on business fixed investments. Over the past few years, there have been all these real-time indicators that helped us gain a sharper understanding of where the economy was, like open table data or office attendance. You've talked about vacancies in the past, and I'm wondering at the start of this year, what might be on the dashboard for you that's giving you the clearest picture of the economy. He said, well, so we're not. It's not the pandemic, so we can actually rely more on traditional forms. People are working, they're getting wages, and the economy is largely reopened. These are all good factors to point out. So really and truly, I think that, they did not reduce rates even further. I've been telling you guys all along, if you've been watching the lives, I don't think that we're going to see any reductions come first quarter. I just don't. We're not there yet. We haven't seen enough of a reduction in spending in order for him to continue to make those reductions. He made some, last quarter in 2023. I don't think we're going to see anything until probably second quarter of 2024 if the American people can continue to rein in their spending in other areas, which really and truly is where he's looking at. So if you're one of those people, reel it in, you guys. No, none of these layaways. I've seen that come back. Layaway. Y'all don't know. We don't do layaway. We do not do that. Y'all, please do not get on that boat. So I hope all of you have benefited from hearing this information. I know a lot of this gets overwhelming, and that's why I choose to sit here and break it down. So if you have any questions at all, make sure that you reach out to me. I'm happy to just, email back and forth, or you can give me a call, shoot me a text. As you know, I love diving into this type of conversation, and I hope to see you guys on the live next week. I hope you have a great weekend. See you next week.